So once again, welcome everybody. This is your Wheel and Anchor pre-trip webinar for your upcoming journey to Puglia and the Amalfi Coast, starting on October the 16th. So it's time to get started. As I mentioned, we will be, as always, recording this webinar. So for those that miss it, you can absolutely get the replay, which we'll send out in about 24 hours from now. So today, first of all, I'm going to introduce your host, Kathleen. And Kathleen and I are going to share with you a little bit about what you need to know for this trip. It's pretty straightforward. It's nothing, anything out of the ordinary. I'll talk about your arrival in Lecce. I'm going to touch on a couple of the itinerary points, but we're not going to go through the itinerary in great detail here. But this is really the opportunity for you to answer any questions that you have about this trip, so that you are well prepared. So first of all, I'm delighted to introduce Kathleen, who recently hosted a trip with us to Japan, if my memory serves me correct. Is that right, Kathleen?
That's right. It was a great trip. I really enjoyed
Y-
it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Kathleen, you've traveled in Italy before as well, so this is at least maybe not the whole itinerary, but at least Italy is familiar territory to you, yeah?
It is. Yes, I'm very familiar with the food of Italy as well. And looking
Don't
forward to
we?
that.
Yeah, no kidding. Don't we love the food of Italy? Oh,
Yes.
yeah, fantastic. So Kathleen, as you know, is the host of your trip. And just to clarify the role of our host, particularly if you've not traveled with us before, the host is there to essentially ensure that all of the logistics happen seamlessly. We put a lot of effort into uh, making sure that everything is perfectly organized. But of course, anytime, in travel, things can happen, things can go awry. So Kathleen's first most important job is to make sure that everything that we intend for you to experience on this trip, that you get to experience. And so the second function is to make sure that you have a good time. I mean, for us, Wheel and Anchor is about connection. It's about community. It's about making friends. It's about having some laughs. And so Kathleen is there to be a little bit like the social convener as well. That's part of her role. But just to clarify what Kathleen is not, just again, in case you've not traveled with us before. So Kathleen is not our local guide. We have some wonderful local guides. In particular, you'll meet Michele in Puglia, a wonderful chap. Really just takes the whole countryside into it, and he knows everybody. And then you'll have Ornella in Vico Equense and in Sorrento, and you head to Capri. So she's a wonderful soul. So you'll really really enjoy our local guide. So they're the ones that have all of the details about uh, facts and figures and history and all the rest of that kind of stuff. That's not Kathleen's job. But Kathleen will be obviously liaising with the guides to make sure that they're on point, on message, to try to make sure that there's not too much redundant information, and so on and so forth. So I just want to clarify that. Is there anything you wanted to add, Kathleen? I think it pretty much covers the main idea of what your
I think so. And I
role.
also just wanted to extend an invitation. If any of you have questions prior to the trip, please reach out to me on Telegram. I may not know the answer right away, but I will definitely find the answers for you.
Exactly. So, and we'll speak about that more in a second. But yeah, Kathleen is there from this point onward. If you haven't already reached out, we'll
Mhm.
talk about Telegram in a second. So as I say, Catherine and I are now going to take you a little bit through the pre-trip preparation. Look at that espresso sitting there overlooking the harbor. Is now, oh, wow, just makes me excited. I always get excited about Italy. It's one
Mhm.
country I can go back and back and back to. I'll touch on, first of all, the passport and the documents. Really, very little to say here. If you've got your passport handy, you're good to go. That being said, I always make my dogs, I make a picture of the info page of my passport to just in case anything should happen to it. But more importantly, so you don't have to schlep it around, right? When you arrive in your hotel, you can stick it in the little in-room safe and tuck it away carefully, so that you don't need to be, carrying it around and risking loss or theft. Unlikely. I can't recall it's ever happened, certainly on a Wheel and Anchor trip. Um, but if you have a copy of it, then when you go, for example, um, if you're going to pick up a SIM card, a physical SIM card, we'll talk about that in a second, you may need to show your passport. I've gotten away with just showing them a copy of the passport on the phone, the info page. That's all they really need anyway. Similarly, if you're going to exchange cash, sometimes they ask for a passport, particularly at a bank, some form of ID. This way, again, if you have it on your phone, you don't need to be carrying it with you. So apart from that, there are no other documentations you require. Obviously, your passport should be valid. Technically, Europe is not so strict on the whole 6 months before the expiry date of the visa of the passport, excuse me. But it should have at least an empty page or two. I actually got caught once on the border to Switzerland because I had less than 2 pages empty in my passport, and they gave me a bit of a hassle. But they do like to have sufficient pages in your passport. Apart from all that, again, anything else that's critical that you need to have, I mean, you can print your e-tickets or not. I don't, because, these days everything's electronic. But if there's anything else that would be important information, I say passwords to like your email accounts or um, uh, or prescriptions for medication. Think about any other documents that would be useful to have, and then either scan them on your phone, like take a photo of them, or or take a printed copy. It's just a good idea. Call it, a traveler's tip.
Mhm.
Let's move on and talk about packing. Kathleen, maybe you want to chime in here and give our members a sense of what would be the right things to bring to Southern
Yeah,
Italy in October.
sure. It looks like we're going to have great weather. It looks like the daytime will be 15 to 20 with a bit cooler at night. There may also be a bit of rain in October. So pack light with layers, a light jacket at night, a shawl, a sun hat, and also something that can protect you from the rain. In case you go into churches, it's also great to bring something to cover your shoulders. But I guess the only other thing too is sometimes at night you might want to wear something a little nicer to the restaurants because in this
Yeah.
area the Italians do like to dress up. And be
Italians like to
mind,
dress up everywhere.
yes, that's what we love about them.
It just
Yeah,
occurs to me anyway. They
yeah,
always seem like they're dressed up.
yeah. And the really important to remember your good footwear because we will be walking on cobblestones.
Exactly. Cobblestones are everywhere in Italy, as you probably know already. There's stairs, uneven sidewalks and all the rest. I mean, it's not drastic,
Mhm.
but I think to your point, Kathleen, having a second pair of shoes, maybe it's something that looks a little nicer. In any event, I would only bring comfortable footwear. For
Yeah.
women, I wouldn't bring any heels. That probably goes without saying, but I always like to because you're just not going to have the opportunity to wear them because it's risky, quite honestly. Um,
Yes, but I won't be bringing any heels at all, just comfortable shoes. I do
exactly.
not want to
Just
have a fall on the trip. Um, yeah, so I think that about covers it, but just be prepared for good weather.
mhm. And the
Mhm.
weather, we're always a bit cautious talking about weather because the weather is just, often not what you anticipate that it's going to be. As Kathleen said, typically it's mid to high teens and low 20s. It could be 26. Wouldn't surprise me. It
Mhm.
could also be on the cool side, less likely. But you kind of want to be prepared for everything, and at the same time, packing light. And when we say light, I mean, it's as light as you wish. I know some of our members are carry-on only. I remember when I was going around to our social events this summer talking to different members, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, carry-on only." I think that's a great way to go. That I wouldn't say it completely eliminates, but almost eliminates the risk of the airline losing your luggage. And nobody really cares. There's nobody here for a fashion show. You don't need to have a different outfit every day. That would be challenging, I think. But keeping in mind that you're going to be staying at the Masseria, which is a family-owned compound. It's a beautiful spot. I mean, they'll probably help out those that wish, but there isn't porterage there per se. There is at the Hotel Angioleri in Vico Equenzi where you're staying, but it's not necessarily as common. in the kind of hotels that we stay at. So you may have to manage your luggage. So um,
Mhm.
I think one other thing, Kathleen, I was going to say is I see here on the list it mentions swimwear. I mean, you think October, oh, late for swimming. The Mediterranean can still be pretty nice in
Yeah.
October. There is a beach in Vico Equense below where the hotel is. There's a coastal area. Not to mention there's places to swim in Sorrento. And even when you're on the day trip, if you're really determined to get in the Mediterranean, and I think it's a great idea, you might want to
Mhm.
bring a swimsuit. Um,
Yes, I have
so and there's a
swum in the Mediterranean in late October, so
yeah,
it's
exactly, and
doable. Yes.
it's absolutely doable. It's absolutely doable, and of course, there's a swimming pool in the hotel in Vico Equense, so that's important. And water shoes is a maybe. I mean, a lot of the beaches in Italy are stony, like pebbles. So if you are going to swim, more than once, then maybe a pair of water shoes is a handy thing. One other thing I noticed that wasn't on the list, Kathleen. Keep in mind, of course, your electrical appliances and the fact that you need an adapter. So
Mhm.
the plugs in Italy are like the rest of Europe. It's two round plugs, the routine, and it's 220 volts. Most of your devices will work in Europe on the European volts, just as they will at home. But if you have anything out of the ordinary, whether it's a CPAP machine or a hearing aid charger or a curling iron, some of those things might only take 110 volts. In those cases, I would have a look. If you're unsure, double look, check it with the label or Google the manufacturer or whatever, and just double check because you don't want to be plugging in 110-volt appliances into the plugs in Europe because you'll have a bit of a fireworks show. I think we've covered pretty much anything. And certainly let us know if you have any other questions. I don't see any questions yet. By the way, questions you can post in either the chat box or the Q&A box. I'll put a question in here now. So if you haven't seen it, maybe you'll see the chat box. And then I'll attend to them at the end of the Q&A section at the end. All right, good. Kathleen, you want to explain a little bit about the money situation?
Yeah, so as you know, we will be using euros, and credit cards are widely accepted at ATMs. What I would recommend is not bringing a lot of cash, but keeping some small coins for tips, taxis, that kind of thing, as well as,
Washrooms.
yeah,
Oh
I
my
was
God.
just going to say, I've recently found out using a public toilet is €1. So having a few €1 coins on hand is very handy. Um, I use the Wise card, which I don't know if this is what it looks like. And
Yep, that's it.
yeah, and it's great. So you can get a physical card or you can get a digital download onto your phone. Um, what it is it's a card that you can transfer your Canadian money onto it. So it almost works like a debit card, but you can easily convert money within on your phone into the local currency. And what's great about it is that every time you use it, you do not pay a transaction fee. Now, the currency conversion from your bank is slightly less than what your bank would charge, but so that's we'll have to deal with that anyway. But using the Wise card is so handy. I used it in Japan. I just used it in the States recently, and it was flawless. If anybody has any questions about the Wise card, please feel free to reach out to me. Now, the only thing I would say is if you are applying for a Wise card, you can almost immediately get it put onto your phone. But to get the physical card, it may take 3 to 4 weeks. So that would have to be done fairly quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You need to do it basically right now.
Yeah.
But the digital one is looks well, it looks a little bit
Yeah.
different, the colors a bit, but you get it on your phone. So you can use it just like you use your credit cards at home if you are somebody that uses your cards and you can tap your phone with the Wise card. Makes
Yeah.
life
So easy. It's just like using your
makes life.
Apple Wallet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and in
And
I think all
yeah,
the information is in the pre-trip information
it
kit
is.
about the Wise card.
Pretty much everything that we talked about is in the trip specific reference guide. It's in the information that we've sent to you, but we just, we would just want to make sure that we reiterate it. And And again, address any questions that come up
Mhm.
around that. Uh,
Mhm.
um, so let's see. We talked about that. We talked about that. Um, and yeah, you mentioned ATMs are as ubiquitous as here. We tend to suggest using ATMs that are not that are bank ATMs, as opposed to you see these Euronet ones. First of all, they charge higher fees, much like the private ATMs do at home. And if something goes wrong, it's a bit more of a hassle if your card gets stuck in the machine or something. So we tend
Mhm.
to suggest going to the banks if you for withdrawing money, but don't go out of your way to get euros in Canada. I mean, sure, if you'd like, sure, but banks in Canada are not well equipped to sell euros. They charge you an arm and a leg and an exchange rate, let alone the one at the airport is even worse. So
Yeah.
I honestly I show up in Europe with my credit card or my debit card. I stick it in the first ATM and I get cash that way. It's just way easier. And then you're not traveling with a bunch of cash. Um, Good. I think that's it on the Wise card, the money, right? Did we cover all of that? I think we did.
So, and I do the same as you, Gordon. I just show up and I get my money from a bank
Yeah,
ATM wherever I
yeah,
travel. Um,
exactly.
I guess the
Exactly.
only thing next would be the gratuities, which
Yeah, let's get into the gratuities. Do you want to talk about that for a
Mhm.
second, Kathleen, and I'll fill in the blanks, as it were?
Yeah, so everything that's covered by Wheel and Anchor is everything that is all of our drivers, our guides, and any program services. What's not covered is the airport transfer drivers, as well as hotel housekeeping and also dining independently. So there's a lot of talk in all the social media groups about what is the tipping rules in Italy.
Mm.
Um, so when you go out to a meal, it's usually about 10% if service isn't included. And one other thing to be mindful is if you sit at a table, they do charge a caperto, which is a usually is I think it's about €4, and that's the
It
cost
depends
of
on the quality of the restaurant, but it's like a cover
yeah,
charge. Exactly. Yeah,
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 of using the table. And then if you're just getting a coffee or a drink, just rounding up is usually fine. So, but
yeah.
then once again, tipping is at your discretion.
Absolutely, as always, and as Kathleen said, all of the tips for everything that is included on our trip are already covered.
Mhm.
And so it's just if you need, if you feel like tipping the transfer driver when you get picked up at the airport in Brindisi, or anytime that you're, taking a taxi, if you are doing that, it's, give them a couple of euros. It's not like here where it's like a diehard expectation. It's a nice thing to do, as Kathleen said, totally at your discretion. Um,
Mhm.
let's move on to mobile communications. I'll start off by explaining about the phone and what your options are. Kathleen will tell you a little bit about Telegram if you're not familiar with it already. Please
Mhm.
bring your phone. So,
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much that's what we all carry everywhere all the time anyway. So maybe it goes without saying, but if you were thinking about leaving it home, don't. Because we do use Telegram, and Kathleen will explain that to communicate with all of the group throughout the trip. That being said, when I say throughout the trip, not you don't need to have it every minute of every day. So you can opt to simply turn your data off and just use Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi is certainly available in the hotels and most restaurants. It's pretty easy to get online. However, in this day and age, it is convenient to be able to use your phone at any time, which means you have essentially two options, or call it two and a half. First, you can use your SIM card from home and do a roaming plan. Bell, Rogers, Telus, they all have them. It's pretty expensive. It's about 17 bucks a day, but then you use your phone just like you would at home. Just that's why they call it roam like home. So that's option one. Option two is that you get you put a SIM card in your phone. Now, nowadays, you can either get a physical SIM card like you see in the picture here, the little plastic chip that fits in the side of your phone, which you obviously have to get locally in Italy when you arrive, or you can get an eSIM if you have a newer phone and it's built in the last few years. They accommodate eSIMs, which is the same thing except that it's electronic. It's a QR code that you can get. And then by getting an eSIM for Italy, then the moment that you land in Italy, you can turn it on, activate it, and then you are good to go. So it is a bit advantageous. We don't endorse any particular eSIM provider. There are hundreds out there. We've had both positive and negative experiences with many of them. A lot of our hosts use Airolo, Airolo. I'll type it into the chat box. Um, um, and that's sort of one option that you can do. Um, and it seems to work fairly well in Europe from what we've heard. But again, there's hundreds of options. Um, or if you have an older phone or if you want to get a physical SIM card, then you need to go into a mobile phone store when you arrive. There's Vodafone, there's in Italy. There's T-Mobile, there's Orange, there's a few different options.
Mhm.
You have to present a passport, or as I say, you can probably use just a copy of your passport on your phone in order to get one. It's about 30 euros for enough data that will, I think it's 20 gigabytes that'll last you for a whole month. So it's definitely the least expensive option is to get a physical SIM card in country. Um, and then you have your phone, you can use it everywhere. You can use Google Maps, you can share your location with Kathleen or whomever you'd like. And you can use Telegram to talk to the other members of the group at any time. It really is handy to have your phone. So those are the options. Kathleen, explain about Telegram, how it works, and why it's important.
Sure. So Telegram is really important for our group, and I would ask that everybody get it installed. Sometimes on my last trip, I noticed sometimes the wife or the husband would install it, but the other partner didn't. And the issue we ran into is they got separated and we couldn't communicate with the other party. So it's really important for fun as well as communication. So on the Telegram, we will be having a channel, which is the information page where I will be posting everything every day, including the itinerary, and it's really important to have it in case there's changes or something exciting that you're going to miss out, because there will also be some fun things posted on there. And then we also currently have a group chat that is already on the go. And I've had a few people reach out and join me on the group chat. So on Telegram, my handle is um, at Kat_Adams. So if you would like to send me a message and add yourself to the group chat, also message me privately and I will add you to my contacts. And that is how we're going to be communicating. It looks like a WhatsApp, except that I don't think we can phone on Telegram, right, Gordon? I've never done that. We just usually communicate in writing.
You can, so you can phone like you, so Telegram works like WhatsApp, which will be familiar to many
Okay.
of you, or Facebook Messenger. So you can make an audio call through the app,
Okay.
just as
Yeah,
you
I've
would
never
with
done that.
WhatsApp or Messenger or whatever. That's
Yeah.
absolutely possible.
Okay. And what I like about it is it's tied to your phone number, but you can use it across multiple devices. WhatsApp, you can only use it on one phone to one phone number or to your computer, but this one I can use it on my iPad, my computer, and my phone. So it's really handy and useful that way. But please get Telegram so we can communicate and keep in touch. That would be really helpful.
Yes, exactly. So Rosalind asked about Kathleen's Telegram address. It is in the information that was sent. I will put it
Mhm.
here as well,
Yeah.
just so you've got it. So I put it in the chat box.
Thank you.
And so once you've set up Telegram, you can just press the to button or whatever and type in that ID, and you'll get Kathleen. And please do add her right away.
Yeah.
Um, and oh, sorry, I realized I sent that to the wrong person. Haha, there you go. I sent it just to Rosalie. I don't do this chat thing too often. There you go. I'm putting it in the chat for everybody to see now. Sorry about that. Um, yeah, exactly. There is a full page on how to set up Telegram. So please read it. If you have difficulties, challenges, you can also search it on YouTube, and you can get step instructions on how to set it up. For those of us, I include myself, who are a little bit technologically challenged, it takes maybe a bit of finicking at the beginning, but as I say, if you follow the step-by-step instructions, you will get it sorted out. And if you have it enabled and you reach out before, then you'll where way to reach Kathleen if you have an issue with your flight, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Let me talk for a second about our health protocols. Just a couple things I want to mention very briefly. I don't want to belabor this. First of all, our trips are non-smoking. I think that goes without saying. Lots of people in Italy still do smoke, but smoking for the most part is like at home. So, and certainly when we're around your other group members, we just ask that you not smoke. Secondly, is if you become ill, if you develop symptoms, sneezing, coughing, anything like that, please, 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 like the little boy in the picture here, please don a mask. We're all used to it now. We hate it as much as we did during COVID, but it is just the right thing to do, because we were going to be traveling in minibuses, and we're going to be in the proximity of your fellow group members throughout the trip. We just want to make sure that nothing untoward is spread around. And finally, if you should injure yourself in any way, please, if you get ill, please let Kathleen know. We take anything, even the most minor bruise or sprain or cut or anything like that, we take very seriously. We will tend to recommend that one goes to see a clinic, because we want to make sure that you get home in the same or better condition, maybe with an extra kilo or two, but that's a different matter than you arrived to Italy in the first place. That's our goal. And a little tidbit about Italy: actually, emergency healthcare in Italy is actually free for everyone. So you can theoretically walk into a hospital with a problem, and they'll see you, and there won't be a bill at the end. Which is not to say that you shouldn't have insurance. Um, but yeah, that's one of the nice little things about Italy. All right, let's move on. Um, Getting ready for your trip 24 hours beforehand. Please do pay attention to your emails and your phone. The airlines are very good nowadays at advising if there's going to be, say, anticipated delay. And so as you get ready for your trip, maybe use Time Shifter, which is the app we suggest for those trying to mitigate the effects of jet lag, and make yourself comfy for the nobody loves an overnight flight, but keep an eye if you have a problem, and if you are going to miss your connecting flight to Brindisi, please do let Kathleen know by
Mhm.
sending her a telegram message at the earliest possible opportunity. So let's say you're flying from Toronto to Zurich and Zurich to Brindisi, and the flight out of Toronto is late, and you miss that connecting flight. The moment that you arrive in Zurich, is please do send a message to Kathleen. Say, hey, we missed the connecting flight, and this is what's going to happen, just so that we're not searching for you at the airport when you arrive, and similarly so that we can make sure that somebody is there when you do arrive in. So that's, again, a very important reason to have Telegram handy. um you're going to arrive in, for those of you, some I know are arriving on your own, by your own method, maybe by train into Lecce, or I see there's most of the group members are flying into Brindisi. You'll be picked up. It's not a huge airport. You'll see somebody there with a sign with either wheel and anchor or your name or both. So be patient always. They're normally standing, very obvious right there when after you pick up your baggage, but sometimes they're not so obvious. So don't panic if you don't see them in the first couple of minutes. Have a look around. And again, if you log on to the Wi-Fi, if you don't already have a SIM card set up and data, you can message Kathleen if you do have an issue. She obviously is aware of everybody's arrival times, and will manage any issues that come up, should there be any. Let's hope there aren't. Typically in October, it's usually
Mhm.
pretty good. The local drivers, by the way, in Italy don't always speak English, and I think this is an important thing to note, because sometimes we jump in a cab and we automatically think everybody's going to speak English, and in Italy, drivers often don't or don't want to. So be patient. Again, another good reason to have your phone, have Google Translate open or whatever translation app, so you can type in your messages. Nowadays, with these newfangled phones, it'll even translate on the fly. I haven't figured that technology out yet, but it is possible from what I'm told. Um, Good.
I'm just
All
letting you
right.
know I will be there the day before everybody.
Yeah.
And I'll put a note onto Telegram when I'm out of commission on the plane, and you'll know when I'm on the ground.
Yeah, perfect. That way
Okay?
everybody will know, and that's great.
Yeah,
So
we'll keep in touch.
just to recap where you're going, of course, the trip is starting in Lecce, and you're flying into Brindisi, which is not shown on the map here. It's just around here, being picked up, and you're going to spend the first days in the heel of the boot of Italy, down in southern Puglia. Here, doing some truffle hunting, seeing some of the beautiful coastline, and then you're going to make your way up to Locorotondo, where you're going to be staying, of course, just outside of town in the wonderful Masseria Aprile. You'll have to say hello to the family for me. Lovely, lovely, lovely folks. It's really a highlight for many of our members. And here you're going to see some lovely coastal towns like Polignano e Mare and the Trulli houses, the conical roofs in Alberobello and throughout Puglia. Lots of great things. Then on the way oops, I'm jumping ahead of myself. On the way to Sorrento, or on the way to the Amalfi region, you're going to stop in at Matera, one of my favorite towns. It's really a fascinating place. It's actually a very picturesque drive. It's a lengthy drive, but it's a picturesque drive between Locorotondo and Matera and Vico Equense. I think you'll quite enjoy it. That's the only really long drive on the trip. And when I say really long, I think the total driving time is about 6 hours, but you'll drive an hour and a half to Matera, and then you'll have stops for a few hours, and then you'll make your way the rest of the way, getting in late afternoon into Vico Equense, where you're going to be staying. I love this spot because, and we started staying here some years ago because Vico Equense is a real Italian town. Sorrento is hard to find somebody that speaks Italian. Well, I'm kidding. Obviously, there are, but it's so touristy. And by train from Vico Equense to Sorrento is like 10 minutes.
Mhm.
So it's a strategic spot and a lovely hotel, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And you're going to get obviously down to the Amalfi Coast by private boat, visiting Positano, Amalfi, all these wonderful towns that are best viewed from the water. That's why we do it that way. You're going to get up to see Pompeii and Mount Vesuvius, and then of course the trip will end in Naples. So that is the overview. Here, a wonderful shot looking down the Amalfi Coast. And as I say, Lecce, for me, to highlight, this is a Baroque city. The best time to experience the city, well, anytime, but is in the golden hour. So an hour before sunset through sunset in the evening. They have the lamps that light up the streets. It's like being in a movie. That sounds cheesy, but it's a delicious city. I really, really enjoy it. Loco Rotondo, this is a shot actually from the main street, or one of the main streets of Alberobello, which is nearby the central region of Puglia with these truly houses here. There is going to be a taxi service available from the Masseria, which is because it's about a kilometer and a half outside of town, and Loco Rotondo sits up on a hill. So you can easily walk it, uh, but it's a walk. And so, if you go into town and have a bite to eat, you may not necessarily want to walk in the middle of the night back to town. So we are providing transportation for you to go back and forth. But this is such a lovely place to stay, and it's a lovely little town. And as I say, Michele will be your guide throughout in Puglia, and he'll share with you all of his knowledge and all of his passion for the area. In Vico Equense, this is here. Again, we love this spot because you're overlooking the Bay of Naples. That obviously is Mount Vesuvius that you see there in the picture. So you get a fantastic view over Vesuvius, Naples, and the whole bay. And the hotel, as I mentioned, it's about a 10-minute walk to the railway station. There are trains going frequently into Sorrento or in the other direction towards Naples. The hotel has beautiful amenities. And there's also wonderful walking. The town of Vico Equense is a bit of a walk from the hotel. It's about a half an hour, 40 minutes. There is a smaller village near the hotel, but the main town of Vico Equense is a bit far away. But the hotel also offers a shuttle a few times a day, and we're going to take you in and show you around Kathleen and so on to get a sense of this great spot. So you'll enjoy there. You're going to be going before I forget. You are doing trips by boat to both Capri and to the Amalfi Coast. The Amalfi Coast is a private boat. It's going to pick you up at the pier, which is underneath like below down the hill from the hotel. Um, it's the sea. It can be wavy. If you're somebody that's prone to being seasick, then make sure that you bring something with you, a gravel or whatever it happens to be that suits you. Some people you still use those patches and bands and all the rest of it. That works as well. So do keep that in mind as something to bring along. And similarly, Capri, you're going to be going across. In Capri, the whole system of transportation there is a little bit complicated. There may be a little bit of a wait when you arrive to get the shuttle bus that takes you up to Anna Capri, which is at the top of the mountain in Capri. It's the way it is. We've tried a million. There's a very difficult to get around the way that they organize the tourists there. So just things to keep in mind for your experience there. And Kathleen will have a list of our favorite restaurants around Vico Quenze as well as in Sorrento itself. So it is, although it seems like a distance away, I know members from previous trips on the day that we go into Sorrento have stayed around for dinner and wandered and taken the train back later on. Anything is possible. So keep that all in mind. And Kathleen is there to sort of help guide you. And if she doesn't have the answer at her fingertips, she'll check with Ornella or the hotel so you can get the experience that you want to have. You'll end up in Naples. Some of you may be staying on or continuing elsewhere in Italy from there. And that will be the final stop on the trip. And that is basically it. It's now time to address any questions that you might have. I'm going to just go back to a couple of the points that. Rosalie mentioned, she said, I've read that you can be fined for not carrying your passport. That is technically true in Italy. Technically, there is a law that requires non-EU nationals to carry ID with them. Um, so that is the law. Practically speaking, how can I put this politically correctly? They're not looking for you, is the bottom line. So I have never, ever, ever heard of anybody being stopped and asked for ID and given an issue because they didn't have their passport with. Hence, have it on your phone because then you've got the ID just in case. I have never had it happen to me. I've never heard anybody ask for it. As a traveler from North America, as I say, you're not who they're looking for. Italy, as you probably know, is dealing with a lot of migration from Africa and from the Middle East and so on and so forth. And so, that's more who that law is. But they obviously can't tell you that. But that is kind of how it is. So I wouldn't worry too much about bringing your passport. You're not going to have a problem. Then Rosalie also mentioned about, oh yeah, TELUS has a new Europe plan for $60 a month. So there you go. So I wasn't aware of that. So that's great if you happen to use TELUS or if you want to switch to TELUS, that's another option. Personally, I don't use any providers in Canada. I have an international one that works here too. So that works for me. But yeah, there's a bajillion options out there. Let's see. Are there any? I put Kathleen's Telegram address in there. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Thank you.
Please, now is the time.
I've had a
Oh,
couple
okay.
people join already. Thank you.
Oh, great.
That's great.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
the one thing I will say about a passport, if you do buy an e-ticket to a museum or an event that you're going to privately, they may ask for your passport for ID when you pick it up or when you
Uh,
arrive. So that's the
yes.
only
Yeah.
other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. When you arrive, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. They may. That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Mhm.
I got another message here. I'm not sure if it's from somebody on this trip or about airport and rail strikes set to disrupt travel in September. Strikes in Italy are almost as common as they are in France. It happens from time to time. They come, they go, they start, they stop, and it is what it is. Of course, if we are, if we know in advance, I mean, we do look out for these things, but we don't go into a tizzy around it here because there's nothing you can do about it until it actually affects you, in which case you have to make a plan B. That's what Kathleen's there for, for making plans, plan B.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so yeah, we do have our eye, just so you're aware, it's part of life in Europe. It's part of life here. But yeah, it can happen. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Um, so thank you for that question. I think that's it. Are there any other questions? Last call for questions. Of course, if you do have another question that comes up before the trip, as Kathleen mentioned, drop her a Telegram message or send a
mhm,
message to, if you've been corresponding with Paula recently, or Melody is our main sales support person who basically can handle any of those questions or inquiries, or what if this and what if that. And she's the designated person for that. Her email is shown here, melody@wheelandanchor.ca, and her phone number toll free with the extension if you want to reach her for any other questions, particularly if it's a booking related question. But that is something you should probably best direct to Paula or whoever you last corresponded with if something comes up. Good. I haven't seen any other questions, so that must mean we've done a good job,
great,
Kathleen.
good. Wonderful. Well, I'm really looking forward to meeting you all and hanging out in Italy for a couple of weeks.
Exactly, and I'm jealous that I can't be with you all as well. It's a beautiful part of Europe. As you all know, you'll have a wonderful time. There's lots to see and mostly taste. Oh, the tastes are so good
Mm.
in Puglia. Anyway, so have a wonderful trip. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us this morning. The replay will be sent out within 24 hours. Kathleen, thank you for your time today, and
Thank you,
have a
Gordon.
great trip.
Yes, thank you, everybody, and I'll see you in about 30 days.
Okie dokie. All
Okay,
right.
bye. Have a great week.
Take care. Yes. Bye bye, everybody.